Recording is on or not. I'll just put it on recording.
Yeah, this is on, Palash, now.
Hi, Amrendra.
Hi, Palash. Your recording seems on now. The icon is appearing on the screen.
It is. I'll start. Okay, we start. I start today by expressing my gratitude on behalf of Team Realty web series for making the series a grand success. Viewers' responses and feedbacks are keeping us going. After discussing various issues, we'll be more specific today and discuss sales and leasing strategies post-COVID. We are joined today by Salil Kumar, Director Asotech Realty, Khairul Nisa Shah, ED World Trade Center, Supriya Chatterjee, Senior Director Leasing Services, Cushman & Wakefield, Amit Raheja, CMD Wealth Clinic, Abhi Batra, Director Bunyad Group, Ajay Rakheja, National Head Consumer Services 360 Realtors, Kapil Kapoor, Director Strategy and Sales and ED, Bullman Realty. And we are also joined by Aditya Rana of Aaj Tak and Amrendra Shukla, National Head Sales OLX. I welcome you all. Last time when we had the discussion, we had only Khair, so I started with Khair being the only woman. So now I will not take the risk of asking a woman. I'll straight away come to the developer, Salil. Salil, how much pressure is on rentals right now? Straight question. And I don't expect you saying that there is no pressure. There is pressure, and how much is it?
See, like Palash, you have rightly said, there are two things. There is recently a High Court verdict, which has in a Khan Market case, which has clearly said that rental cannot be waived during lockdown period. So after this decision, a lot of landlords and the owners, they are in a different mood. But at the same time, all customers, all definitely, they are pressing for the rental waiver for some time. And there where the rentals are high, they are requesting for the discounts, definitely, in the looking at the COVID situation and overall depression in the economy. Nobody can deny that there is not a depression, there is a serious depression. And there are two things. There are rental where these are like high rental, say 100, 150 plus, and like a Gurgaon top end market like Golf Course Road or MG Road, I can see for an example. And there is another market which is like Noida or Expressway or 62 side, which is say around 40 rupees rental side. And there is a update like 125 or something which are 60 plus. So 40 icon size is like a bottom rental, and where there the rental are 120, 150 plus, there is definitely a pressure. And landlords, they are preferring that they will not like to get customer away. So there has to be a trend of discounts, and for some time, or there is an alternative theories coming. Those are some deferment of the rent of some part of the rent for some time, because the many landlords are telling you when you were getting your market was good, you are not sharing me a better rent. Our rent is fixed, so either you give me a flexible rent when you have a good revenue, you give me a better rental, or there will be rent deferment for some time. So different theories are coming, and not yet settlements have come out because lockdown has not fully opened up. Both the parties are trying to negotiate each other, and where their rentals are very high, there is a scope, and a lot of tenants I have seen, they are searching for a low rental market, especially on a, like if you are a 100 rupees rental or 150 rupees rental, and or say 80 rupees rental, you would like to move to the property house for 40 rupees or 60 rupees properties. So landlord will try to avoid those shifts, but at the same time, tenant will try to move to a lower rental market in order to survive. Those kind of things are happening in the market.
Khair, Salil is saying about renegotiations. How much renegotiations from the occupiers you are witnessing from your existing occupiers? And also, how much of a pressure is there from the from the prospective clients, and in the near future, how much rentals, how much in terms of percentage you are going to see down?
Hey, Palash, I'll tell you what, I'm such a big optimistic, and I've always been a maverick in the entire industry, probably. I do agree that there is going to be a lot of change and shift, and a lot of variable models are going to come into play. So far, if you're talking about WTC, you'll be surprised that instead of actually, the restructuring or clients coming to us for restructuring, we have signed up 22 new leases in Gift City. We're just launching with World Trade Center Gift City. We are awaiting our OC, which we should be getting by 5th of June. And and already we've signed 22 leases. So we did not see any change in the prevailing. In fact, we signed it up at a higher rental compared to what is in the prevailing market. But there are various models. One industry where we do see a change and where we see a lot of restructuring happening rather than in the office is in retail. We see a lot of restructuring happening there. There are tenants are moving away from, if they are on a fixed rental, they're asking for a combination of revenue share or an MG. If they're on MG, they're asking for some reduction or some support on the minimum guarantee. But there are various models which are going to be at play. Like I said, for WTC, we've not seen restructuring happening, but we do see that some of the industries and some of the developers are actually facing some clients coming back to them and asking for restructuring. Probably I've been the lucky one. And at the same time, I would agree with Salil that it is also about the rentals, the cost of the rental, which is, if it is high, then people are definitely coming for restructuring. But if it is marginally low, then we do not see that. Noida is not seeing much of restructuring. Gurgaon in certain places is seeing a restructuring. That most of the retail, I would say, it would be wrong on my part to say that 100% of retail, but at least 90% plus of retail is coming for restructuring on the rents.
Supriya, what kind of new deals that the consumer, the occupiers are asking? Are they asking for more lease rental discounting and things like that?
Yeah, Palash. So from occupiers' perspective, I think this has been quite a knee-jerk reaction starting from April only. A lot of corporates came to us asking for not only rent abatements, new transactions which were in the pipeline, wherein the LOIs were signed. Clients have asked for obvious extensions of the LCD and then deferment of the rent commencement dates also. So the scenario that we are witnessing right now is that corporates, for example, have their 9-year lease expiries, due next year, and there'll be a certain escalation as per market, or even a fixed escalation for that matter. The trend that we are witnessing right now is that corporates are asking whether the escalation at least can be waived off. I'm happy to hear that CARE has witnessed restructuring happening in Gurgaon, because I haven't experienced even one developer right now who's softened his or her stand on the softening of the rentals or the abatements. My submission here to both stakeholders, whether it's the occupiers or developers, especially to developers, is that you cannot treat the same issue with the same medicine for everyone. By that, what I mean is there are certain industries who have far more got affected than the others. So I think we should take case-to-case scenario, and specific to industries which are witnessing hardship more than others should definitely get some sort of compassion for a certain period of time, because I think most of us would believe that this is a short to medium term scenario, and in the long term I think commercial real estate is here to stay. We were on a high this year. I mean, if I compare it to last year's number, Q1 we witnessed an absorption of 16 million square feet pan India, which if I compare it to last year was only 12.5 million. So I think there was a momentum which definitely has got broken because of the COVID scenario. I strongly believe, and I think as an enterprise, we believe that this is a short to medium term scenario, and things will start picking up. There has to be a little more partnership from both sides, not only the developers, but also the tenants. The tenants should not take this as an advantage. They shouldn't take this as an advantage to the scenario. At the same time, developers also should have a little more, I think, they should have a more compassionate view to industries which are suffering more than the others. So that's my view, Palash, on the whole scenario right now.
I need to ask you something on this, Supriya.
Yeah.
That what about corporates who have taken bigger offices and they are planning to move to smaller size of offices or co-working spaces? I think during this COVID time, there are many corporates who are like, to name like Ola, he's basically squeezing down their office space and looking for lower office space or co-working space. Did you like, what about your tenants? And
so I'll tell you, yeah, that's a very good question, Kapil. What's happening in our space right now is a lot of corporates are rethinking and reevaluating their real estate strategy. Corporates who were on a growth momentum and typically may have not had that much of a business loss as compared to other industries, probably the clients who were looking at expansion, and now they have put that on hold for now. There is a wait and watch sort of a policy that corporates are obviously right now ensuring too. They want to see how the market reacts, how their competition reacts. They are asking us to do market benchmarking exercises. They want to know whether the rentals that they are sitting at, is this actually the fair market rental? Things that they were not probably considering earlier and they were busy with their own business. People have started thinking a lot more. So I would say as a real estate team, we are far more busy right now, helping clients reevaluate their decision making on their real estate space as vis-a-vis as we were earlier. Earlier, it was a lot about, because there was such a momentum in the market. I think all of us were very busy doing expansion spaces, co-working spaces. The co-working sector emerged, in the last 2-3 years. 27 million square feet was absorbed by these co-working spaces, 400,000 seats across India. So there was a lot happening. I think the momentum was very, very high. And suddenly there has been a complete drop. And that drop has made corporates think as to what next for them. So there are two types of companies right now. One, who are in a wait and watch mode, who want to see how the market kind of reacts and responds in the next couple of months. And the second ones who are genuinely badly hit by the COVID-19 situation. They definitely are looking at maybe moving from the CBD markets and evaluating whether they can go to the peripheral business districts. But there is a pro and con to everything that you do. The moment you move from a CBD market to to the other markets, there'll be a cost and increase in transportation. The last mile connectivity goes. Employee motivation goes. So there's a lot that, right now, I think we are all in an evaluation and thinking mode, and it is a transient phase. I think in the next couple of months, when the lockdown completely gets lifted, that's when the real scenario will emerge in my mind.
The picture will be more clear after a couple of months.
Absolutely.
Let me add to what Supriya has said, that what we are observing, we're getting a lot of queries which is for business continuity. And we're getting very, very large queries for build to suit, especially for build to suit for business continuity. So that is also something which the corporates are actually looking and considering. Business continuity seems to be at the, expansion right now seems to be fundamentally based on the business continuity.
Okay,
we've also observed is that, we've not been getting as large requirements for business continuity plans, but yes, if a client, say, for example, has 100,000 square feet, they would probably want to divide it across 3 or 4 different locations. Earlier, how the trend used to work was that, we would have 3 or 4 different locations and we were somehow planning to merge all of them together and, be in a cluster in one particular space. And that has started to, go back to the traditional way where, again, one is looking at, having multiple offices so that, in case, although this happens to be, one of those situations where the entire country has gone under lockdown. But, if this were to ever be a state-wise or a location-based lockdown, there need to be multiple spaces where one can probably operate out of.
I would like to add, I would like to echo what Supriya mentioned, that from a corporate side, the entire planning has been done on 2 pieces. one financial planning was made with a perspective that the lockdown will exist only in the month of April. And then there was a second assumption or hypothesis that corporates have taken that the lockdown will extend for another 3 months. So by July first week or by end of the June, there are likely, the chances are likely that the forecasting one will get published for majority of the corporates on the revenue. So that will decide a lot of restructuring in terms of their office space or the seating arrangement. That is one. Also, I wouldn't relate it directly with the lockdown, because now most of the companies are cautious, uh, given the fact that the COVID will exist for another 6-7 months, irrespective of the lockdown exist or not. So most of the corporates are trying to find out the pieces which can be pushed under working remotely, and then there are certain set of people or work structures which are required to be in office. Majority whiteboarding and discussions are something which is missed out when you are working from home. But from the corporate side, this is my hypothesis that roughly around 50% will be allowed to work from home, especially from the sales sector, because they are not required to office and they can manage by working remotely. They are allowed to come once in a week or twice in a week, something like that. Rest from a PDT perspective, product data and tech, because they need a lot of whiteboarding to get things executed, they will be required to come into the office, and that will decide what kind of absorption we are looking to have in Q2 or Q3 going forward.
Okay, which means
So I would also have a point here, Palash. I think that's Supriya and Khair had a very valid points on both the part of the NCR. See, three classified. So mainly the affected parties are developers, landlords, and occupiers. So the individual landlords are still able to manage this currently. The so-called interim or short-term discounting factors, but the large developers where they have taken bank loans or they have mortgaged their assets on these rental discounting are being not putting their feet down currently to hold these current rentals. So that's more evolving right now, and from the individual owners they are trying to restructure it. So as a market, we have not seen so far, both on Gurgaon or Delhi, there are renegotiations have already happened, or the new leases are in place, or there's an additional addendum agreements are already made and ready to execute. Just still doing a wait and watch, and I think this is going to be still a debatable for at least 1 or 2 months before real action comes into place. How will the real picture look like?
One more thing, just to add to Ajay's point on this, is that my own experience and my team's experience with the marquee developers and large developers is also one that while they're keeping a hard stand and not probably restructuring, agreeing to any rent abatements or restructuring, one thing that is coming out clearly is they want to know what is the occupier's skin in the game. By that I mean, are occupiers willing to look at a long-term association and a lock-in? Assuming there are clients today who may be having leases which are open in the sense that just give a just give a notice and you can vacate at any point in time. So I think the mindset of developers is also changing in the sense that if the tenants are able to give them some sort of secured lock-in periods and looking at a long-term association with that particular developer, I think then my guess is that there'll be a lot more, I would say a lot more consideration given to those softening of rentals vis-a-vis the tenant just asking for that particular benefit just to kind of get the best out of the situation.
So Priya, there was one more thing it happened, because like in the earlier recession of 2008, so now people have started, in fact, I believe when it was March when lockdown was announced, and within a week, everybody started asking for discounts and rental waiver. So that was really little funny.
Yeah.
I mean, without assessing the impact of the entire economic scenario and how much his impact is on developer, how much impact is on going to the end user. People have started immediately asking for rent waiver for 2 months, 3 months everywhere. So everybody was just thinking it happened in 2008 and everybody should waive it. But everyone has to consider the entire economic assessment scenario before proceeding for rent waiver, because whether parties really can offer, cannot offer. Like I repeat, I think High Court has taken decision. If it's a contractual obligation, you have to honor it. So there is going to be different scenarios are going to reach, and we have to come with a very, very different strategies post-lockdown after mutual discussions with the end user.
Which means
And
Salil is saying
Salilji,
that,
just
Interesting
to,
story
corporates
here.
are also
I
taking
think just
advantage
just
of
to
the
ease out.
situation.
Yeah, Palash,
Yeah,
just to
Ajay.
ease out a little more, what's happening around. So if you're an A grade location and you're an A grade real estate producer, the advantage is coming as a spillover to the B location and the B category developer also. So they're holding their nerves, they're holding their wickets, they're holding their asset as equally, and they're not, reducing their current rentals offer in the market. While A is giving them all times of frills and holding it maybe in the form of CAM discounts, maybe in the form of rental discounts, maybe at a certain time if I'm not able to deliver certain scope, or I'm not able to give you entire functionality in my building as a smooth operations. But definitely B is and C is going to take the maximum spillover advantage, whether it is Golfers extension or Noida extension or Greater Noida or periphery of Delhi. These are the places which these people will adopt and reduce their rentals from 30 to 40% and take up these locations in spite of ease of communication and movements.
Amit, now coming to you, are your clients and prospective clients open to virtual tours? And if they are the conversions same, or what is the proportion of conversion vis-a-vis actual site visit? Amit.
I'll say 50-50 because like many clients, they want to see the property first, then only they want to buy. But yes, virtual tours are also working. People are understanding that Corona is there, they cannot travel. But now in this month, people have traveled. Like in Noida, there was no restriction from 3rd of May. We were doing site visits in Noida, and the response is really good. Like this lockdown, trust me, this month has proved amazing. Thanks to the developers, they came up with the lockdown offers and the payment plans we never expected. 1090, we never expect a builder can give a plan of 1090, and that has worked wonder. Well, people have invested like anything. Like I went to a site, and trust me, when we used to do an event, there was a crowd like, there is Corona. The people came out, and good response to affordable housing and to second income products. People want that they should have a second income right now because after Corona, so they want something else also in life, that if something happens to their first income line, then they should have a second income line. So people have responded really well. This month has done wonders for us.
Abhi, online marketing of commercial spaces were already in the domain, already was existing. So will there be any additional platforms for online marketing now?
See, online is something which has really taken a boost during this lockdown. It's something we were already doing, but then that was accompanied by a lot of print, a lot of personal relations and things like that. During this lockdown, where everyone was somewhat sitting at home with too much time to their disposal, almost everybody was online, and we saw a massive increase in the footfall that we used to see online. That still predominantly would remain as the major factor or the major source of media that one would use for marketing. I don't see other mediums cropping up right now, but I do definitely see a spillover from other mediums more towards online during this lockdown.
Abhi, I totally agree with you. Yes, online, but still at Wealth Clinic, we did one more thing which did wonders for us. We had like Salesforce did around 35,000 con daily. We had an average. We have a software. We map everything. So connecting with the clients in the first days when the Corona started in March, people reacted very badly. Like, Corona is there, you're calling us. But then we started talking about Corona, make him comfortable. Then they started talking to us, and we had lengthy discussion on the phones. Earlier, when we used to call, customer used to say, I'm busy. Now he had plenty of time, and we use it. And we had lengthy discussions with the client, and we got very, very good prospects in this Corona time. And now when these offers came up, they are converting. So connecting those people did wonders for us. Online also did it, but this calling also did wonders for us.
You know, Corona, I mean, the lockdown actually taught us one thing. I mean, see, earlier the customers were very reticent to digital, you know, to responding to digital, whether email or online marketing. But now there's a lot of acceptance of digital world being used by the consumers. You know, so actually the buying pattern has also changed. I mean, we at World Trade Center, our sales has become very digital. Our leasing has become very digital. Our CRM has become very digital. We've already been using, but then there have always been a mix of digital and you know, offline. But now we are seeing, probably we were forced into it, but that's what we are you know, that is what is happening. Now we have a customer who's more ready to invest and does not have any problem about transferring the money online or RTGSing, or, you know, earlier all of these were available, but they were hesitant to use these. But now at least I think it's the consumer behavior which has changed largely. That is going to force the developers also to become more digital. I remember we were from a very long time, we were doing virtual tours, but they were hardly being used. You know, virtual tours for leasing also being done. But now I see, you know, from other side as well, you know, they're more eager, more ready to do that. Like, how do you expect me to sign under lockdown 22 leases in Gujarat, sitting in Delhi? All digital. I mean, they've taken the possession, looking at, you know, by digitally giving them a tour of the you know, the units that they're going to be taking. So that is one advantage, that is that you don't really need to be physically be present. But it's largely the consumer pattern has actually changed.
Exactly. That has
So,
changed.
Kapil,
Basically,
coming to you,
yeah,
Kapil,
yeah.
with less of physical interaction, the role or the importance of consultants going forward will increase or decrease?
Of course, this lockdown, people have learned a lot of things from this lockdown, whether it's in a real estate sector or educational sector. Now, I'm totally agreed with Amit what he's saying, that, you know, during this lockdown period after 22nd March, okay, due to this virtual tour or schemes given by the developers, whether it's 1090 or payment plan, we have done tremendously good in terms of sales. On the other side, there are clients who have plenty of time to spend at home. Even on the commercial side, if I talk about our marketing cost per lead has come down drastically, wherein we used to spend so much on the cost per lead. Now that has also come down. Now, now in terms of commercial things, yeah, people are thinking of second income, and we really see a lot of boom from residential sector to the commercial sector also.
Let's
Okay,
not forget, Kapil, the stock market also helped us.
What?
Even mutual funds also.
You know, that stability that real estate actually
No,
offers.
but you know, there are a lot of clients. Of course, there are a lot of people who have invested in equity markets or other financial instruments. People have also burnt their hands. Now, those who have on cash rate, they are investing in equity markets. Of course, the markets are really went down to 26,000 points. But if you see over the last 1 month, that stock market has moved from 26,000 points to 30,000 points. But there's no base.
Yeah.
One news come, the market crashes. The other news come, the market goes up. So there's no fundamentals.
There's no stability.
There's no stability. Real estate market, even if you spend today 10 rupees, and I'm just giving an example. At the end of the day, you know that you have a fixed asset. Maybe after 2-3 couple of years, at least you will get that money. But in equity markets, there's no, you know, fixed.
No, basically, fundamentals are
That's what I said. That real estate
in all our discussions, all the
offers that stability, you know, for the investment.
Yeah, stability, and the other side, the people who are invested in mutual funds, their NAVs have came down drastically. They are into negatives. Now people are hesitant to come out of this, whether they don't want to take out their funds right now. Everybody is stuck.
See what stock market showed was a knee-jerk reaction. Thereafter, it has been gradually gaining back its position. And also, see, stock market are a completely different thing. Since why I'm saying is, in our every discussion, in our every webinar, all the guests are comparing stock market. See, one thing is stock market is more liquid. There is no comparison with the stock market and the real estate. And in a long-term perspective, if you are invested in a fundamentally strong company, so I think that comparison is a different thing. Anyway, I'll move forward.
Of course, the holding power has to be there.
Yeah, you have to. Same goes with real estate also.
Yes.
If you are in need of money, you want to sell off, then you need to have a holding power also. You never know, in stock markets, you will get the money
Right
after
away.
selling your stocks in flat 5 days.
But now,
And Palash, with due respect to all the developers sitting here and representatives, there are a lot of developments where people have actually invested and burned their hands, where the residential units have not come up. So I think, we can't just pin down one is better than the other. I think it has to be a balanced approach. Real estate also has its own, residential real estate has also been going through its own sort of downturn for a very long time. So we can't really say that real estate is safe and stock market is not. Once a vaccine will come up, automatically the stock markets will again pick up. So rightly said, Palash, I think anybody who's looking at investment has to look at it in a very balanced way. If you have the funds, don't put your eggs in one basket. It has to be a diversified sort of approach.
It has to be a diversified.
Yeah, patience is the key.
portfolio.
Basically, patience is the key.
No,
Now
the portfolio
we'll
also
start-
needs to be diverse.
We'll start taking viewers' question, but before that, we have Aditya Rana from Aaj Tak. Aditya, you have your questions?
Yeah, hello everyone.
Hi.
After the lot of discussion is happening here, one thing is coming to in my mind. Entire economy was halted during the lockdown. Now people are struggling for jobs to sustain employment. The first thing which comes to my mind always whenever we talk about the sales regarding real estate is this: who are those people who are still inquiring, booking and buying properties? I just want to know about the class of these people. If they are end users, then what is their profile? They are working or they are in business. And if they are investors, so are the investors coming themselves, or it is due to the old relationships, the through channel partners, which is bringing them to buying the property? So exactly, I want to know who are these people who are still interested in this lockdown period, who still want to buy a property?
So Aditya, if I were to answer to your question, we've had inquiries from almost all types of people during this lockdown. One are people who've been stuck at home during this lockdown and have understood the importance of having a home of their own, probably even a better home of their own. When we talk about scenarios like work from home, maybe, in a scenario where both husband and wife are working and both of them are asked to work from home, their current sizes might not be enough, and these are the sort of people who are looking at probably a house with an extra bedroom where one could probably work out of. This would be for residential. In terms of office spaces, we've already discussed the fact that we again have inquiries about people who wanted to either downsize or wanted to go from one sort of a property to a different sort of a property for saving on the rentals. So these are the sort of people who've actually been out and about in the market inquiring for real estate in these tough times.
And I'll look to add something. We very rightly said, but why, like the target audience, we always have a target audience. Like if we talk about target audience, we are not looking for 100% population of India. We're looking for only 30% people who can invest in real estate. And like government employees, they don't have any threat on their jobs. They are coming up highly. We have given good numbers of units to government employees. There are people who are having money, who are cash rich, or they are, when they see a lucrative offer, they want to invest in. When we give them an offer, they are ready to invest, but there was a fear. It took time. We counsel them. We show them that this is the right time to invest. And normally common man doesn't buy when the prices are flat. They always buy when the prices are moving up. So this is the right time when the customers were having money and we were able to convince them from our offers, and they came in and the response is really nice. And I'm not just, I'm from the real estate background. You can go to the sites and see the crowd on the side, and you will make out that in affordable housing, we have got very good response. And second income properties where rentals will come, people are investing.
But Amit, it is almost for last 7 years that we are saying that it is the best time to buy and the prices are not moving up.
That's our job.
I would like to answer Aditya from a factual data perspective. What we have been doing an analysis over 5.5 lakh properties that are registered on OLX as a platform. So there are two types of inquiries that are coming predominantly as of now. One are pure investors who are trying to squeeze developer to get a dirt cheap discounted price to hold the inventory and looking from an appreciation perspective for 3.5, 4 years. They have a good holding capacity. So one is the investor line. The second line, I would echo to what Abhi said, that there have been scenarios wherein people are struggling to have isolated space to resume their work by sitting at home. So there are 2-bedroom houses. They are in badly need of a 2.5 BHK wherein they can execute their work sitting at home. So these are the people who are typically looking at a second home. So they have executed their first transactions. Now they are looking to expand as per their needs. So these two sets are contributing close to 69% of the inquiries on my platform, at least from a data perspective. Rest 21% are typically coming from a background wherein they were looking to buy a property in Jan-Feb March, and they postponed their plan due to this corona. Now they are more inclined towards ready to win property, falling less than 50 lakh rupees of bracket.
I would also
May I add
reply
something
to you
here?
with this
I mean, may I add something here?
Please.
See, at World Trade Center, we've always realized that real estate investment or sales for us has always been, and we actually call it power of four. That has always been the USP of the World Trade Center. And in terms, I might sound like I'm advertising that, but it's a reality when it comes to real estate. One has been, irrespective of what kind of trend is happening, whether we are going through an upside or a downside, but we've realized that there are 4 elements which are very, very essential for real estate investment. One is the security of your investment, the high returns, your capital appreciation, and lastly, your pride of ownership. And that has been consistent, irrespective whether we are going through bad times, good times, but these are the 4 elements of sale. And World Trade Center has always stood by that. And that is probably the reason why we've not seen any dip in the sales. In fact, we've seen an increase, irrespective. And being a World Trade Center, what we have done is we've actually catered to the entire segment, whether it is a 30 lakh segment, whether it's a 20 lakh segment, whether it's a 50 lakh segment, whether it's an HNI, whether it's an investment of 1 crore plus or more, whether it's in, about 3 crores, we've catered to all of them. And we have seen substantially that in all of these segments, we've not seen a dip. In fact, we've seen during these lockdown periods, a rise in our, in these investments. And we've used a lot of digital, let me tell you. We've used a lot of digital.
That is more than...
Aditya, I would also like to sum up on this query, what Khair said, what's practically we are seeing and what is the kind of responses we have seen. Like Abhi rightly said, residential. So it was a lot of emotions here while people were locked up in their balconies and without, with a fencing, and they were all locked up and they didn't have this space. So the demand of having an additional space or more open to sky or open to nature was very important, and with the freedom to move. So I think the residential rentals where landlords were informed that you should not charge your tenants at this point of time. It is not the right time. Give us a rent holiday, and governments were pressurizing it. So people have realized it is important to have now an asset. So that demand has increased. Commercial, smaller office has predominantly have gone very, very high as a demand. We have a lot of queries coming up under a 50 lakh ticket size to invest, maybe a ready to move in or with the last mile completions where, investors can make a little presence, maybe for their own use, maybe they can rent it out, or maybe they can save it for the next as a saving portfolio and square it off at a later date. So, and the final product is definitely a pre-release or rental income product, which has taken a little seat just because of the understanding, will this tenant stay back or not, will not stay back. It is just they're interpreting this. Otherwise, we see there's a huge demand. People want to increase their second source of income through rental incomes.
Okay, now
just to add on, Ajay, basically people have understand the value of home during lockdown.
Yeah.
Moreover, if you see on the financial perspective, rate of interest, housing loan rate of interest have drastically came down.
All-time low.
People are on the saving mode. They can save on EMI, and definitely the scope of housing can increase.
Okay, now I'll take some viewers' questions. We have lots of viewers' questions coming in. This question is for Amit from Prateek Singh. He is asking कि आपने schemes के बारे में कहा. What kind of schemes now they have and how कैसे फायदा मिल सकता है customer को?
Like builders are offering from discount from 5% to 10% depending on the property. Amazing payment plans are there. Like you pay 10% now, 90% at the time of possession. So that is the safest investment anybody can make. अभी main जो fear है, that is the property will be delivered or not. वैसे तो रेरा आने के बाद this has been मतलब खत्म हो चुका है, but still, but now you pay only 10%. अगर आप डरते हो, कोई भी डर है, तो builder is giving assurance, pay 10% now, 90% at the time of possession. Plus, even in lockdown, builders said if you don't want to come, you can't come. You pay the booking amount right now. And after lockdown is over, when you come over to see the property, if you don't like it, we'll refund it back. So that type of offers were there. Now, so lockdown is, I think it's.
But wouldn't these be a costlier proposition, Amit? 1090 and all?
That will be a costly, but these are the properties which will be delivered in a year's or 1.5 years time. Builder like Godrej is also offering these type of offers to just build a confidence in customers that real estate kahin nahi jane wala, it's gonna stay here.
Amit, I'm going to ask you a very operational question. Like, if they're going to refund, what are they going to do about the GST and all? Is that deducted from the amount? Because there's so much of accounting hassles now happening with the refunds and all.
See what happens when lockdown. When the lockdown was here, the requirement was different. So GST was a very small issue. So sales were more important. So they came up with these type of offers, and they worked.
Now there's a question for Kapil.
An operational headache, for the accounts. With the GST and all.
But you said you are optimistic.
Those are sales strategy. Those are sales strategy. Those are sales strategy only to driven the market. There hardly come cancellations or anything.
I'll take more viewers' question now. There is a question from Sahil Khan for Kapil Kapoor. This is a business guidance that he is asking. What are the statutory requirements to open up a brokerage firm? Kapil.
The statutory requirement, basically now the first statutory requirement is you have to register with RERA. This is the first statutory requirement, and definitely for brokerage firm you should have a real estate knowledge, and of course a good team strength
and a deep pocket also.
Yeah, of course, and you should have a stability at least for 1 year.
Now there is a question for Salil and Kapil. Salil, to you I'll ask from Aniket Arya. He is saying, will retail be a good investment looking at new normal restrictions and less of disposable income? Salil, everybody is asking business guidance.
No, correct. Like I see, India is a big market and going to be another superpower in near future. If you have a little holding power, whether it is a commercial or retail investment, they are really going to pay. Because like I says, the basic fundamental of the investment will always, real estate will always be a good investment. So retail, if you are going for a long term, but look, they're like if you are going to invest in a mall versus high street, so probably high street will give you a better return in a long term.
Just to add on, Clash, for a retail, we always say is when you invest in real estate, so retail is the FD of real estate, what we say always. And if it is a society shops or a high street, like Mr. Salil said, they are always going to pay you off. But one thing you should see, the catchment area. Where this retail is coming, what is the catchment area? That is very important when you invest in a retail.
Okay, now there's one more question from Shubham Jain, who's writing from Bangalore. This is for Supriya. Should we move to invest in tier 1 cities, or should we look for tier 2 cities? Where can we expect a better ROI?
Again, depending on the situation, demand and supply in that area where they want to invest, it is very difficult to say. Some tier 2 cities are doing really fine, very nice. But depending what is the situation, what is demand, what is supply, then only we can guide where.
And also, I think what depends is the amount of corpus you want to actually invest. So if it is, depending on the corpus that you have, I think tier 1, of course, at the end of the day, it is a more secure investment. The returns may or may not have that much of a yield. Having said that, some tier 2 cities are definitely, as Amit was also saying, showing a lot of momentum. But at this point in time, as we look at the market now, especially under the COVID scenario, if I were you and if I had a certain corpus, I would look at a more stable and secure investment that will happen more towards the tier 1 rather than the tier 2 at this point in time. Khair, you didn't like my answer, right?
Can I
No,
answer
I
this?
liked it.
Can
I
answer
actually
this
think,
question?
I agree with you. See, real estate investment, I always believe is, just like the movies have it, entertainment, real estate is location, location, location.
So
Bottom line.
I wanted to add here to both ladies here and also to Amit. I think the blend is where IT is there and the future manufacturing is there. Just put your hands into those cities, whether it is Bhiwadi, whether it's Nimrana, whether it's Greater Noida, whether it's Ecotech or Sikandrabad or Aurangabad or locations where you're seeing a blend of both IT and manufacturing. That is the corridor which will increase both and which will give us a regenerate our growth and get it back, which is which I look from that perspective. Now it could be a tier 1 or tier 2.
The industrial hub
Only the
rightly
difference,
pointed out,
just to add
Ajay.
on, only the difference.
Ajay rightly pointed out, it is the upcoming industrial hubs and the smart city combination, which are going to be, if you have the retention, you have the capacity to hold and invest for long, these are the locations of the future. Tier 1 and the metros would always be the cities of investment, but then it also depends on how much corpus do you have for investment. If you're looking for a long-term investment, then you should be looking at investment in where the industrial hubs are coming and where the smart cities are already at various stages of development.
Aditya has more questions. Aditya, you can go ahead.
Yeah, as per my previous question, basically sales are happening as per abhi जो reply दिया था अभी ने, as people want to upgrade their properties, they are moving to 3 BHK from current 2 BHK or 1 BHK, whatever it is. So that's the main sales driver as per his answer. But at the same time, most of them will sell the existing properties also. So will it provide an opportunity to buy properties at an affordable, cheaper rate from secondary market? Will you see? Are you looking at the prices going down in the resale market or not?
See, it's all done by, as an economies of scale. What is the demand versus what is the supply? If you see, given the example of used car sales, in case people start selling a lot of their old cars to buy new cars, there will definitely be a break in prices for the inventory that is available. So in case people, this will depend from person to person. If a person's buying a new property as a first time property, maybe they are on rent right now and they want to upgrade to something that which they own, because a lot of them have also been fed up with how the landlords have treated them during times like these. So not all, so it's too soon to say whether the prices are going to be affected or not. Yes, if people, a big chunk of the people are selling their properties to upgrade, then yes, the prices may get affected in the negative sense. But I see that a lot of new inquiries that we are particularly generating are people who are actually currently in rentals and wanting to upgrade to a house of their own, so that they don't have to go through the hassle of dealing with the landlord in difficult times.
Salil, you were also saying something on that?
No, what I was telling, see, these are fundamental things. Like Aditya said, there will be a, see, I have another things to say. If I say like roti, kapda and makan are the basic fundamentals whose businesses will never die as long as humanity exists. So like during lockdown, we have a lot of basic household roti related requirements. Now the market has opened up. So basically all textile industries and the second is kapda and third is your house. That is makan, means all real estate things. So now real estate will never die. You will have lot many residential requirement, commercial requirement, office requirement all along as the human grows. People always will be looking for a better house. If you are working from home, you need to have a 3 BHK plus you have a one study room or you have a kind of office. People will look for larger offices, larger homes. This will continue.
But with lots of job cuts and lots of salary cuts, don't you think people would try to hold on to their money rather than investing in property?
See, there is a short-term and long-term things. There is a like 3-4 months, there will be a lot of job cuts, salary cut, and in fact, I call it this is a vicious circle. When suppose, in fact, I was suggesting to our company only, this one fundamental that let's give 10% income as a against reimbursement of non-essential. Because when let everybody pushes to buy, if all corporate, we should see that we don't buy essentials and we should buy non-essentials also. So that the money remains in circulations and entirely finally suppose my customer, he is also a businessman. If he doesn't have money in circulation, he won't be paying me installments. So it's compulsory that people should buy all the things. You should not be restricted to very limited household items only. In fact, Government of India must push as a circular that some part of the salary should be given as against reimbursement of non-essential items.
I completely agree with Salil on this. I completely agree with Salil that money has to float in the market and the economy. And what will and I was actually reading something of a research analyst in US who said that you will soon see there'll be a boom in car sales because now people who were looking at international travel, once or twice a year, it has become a new normal for most upper middle class income groups to travel abroad. They are going to look at road trips and hence they would need their own cars. And similarly, when you have that disposable income, just to address Palash, your point on job cuts, yes, that's a short to medium term problem. That definitely is there and we cannot ignore that. But in the long term, when people know that they cannot spend an X amount of money in let's say an international travel, or they don't want to buy an extravagant item, money, it's a typical human psychology. You'll see when the restaurants open and when you see the malls open, people are going to go and buy because that's human beings by nature. They want to go out, they want to kind of be a part of an ecosystem, and hence it's coming back to the same point again on work from home. I just wanted to add, while our productivity right now is good and everyone is working from home and ensuring that we are connected through Zoom and Skype and meetings and everything, but once life becomes normal, there is a certain urge as a human psyche to go out, spend money, meet your colleagues, and interact with your clients face to face. So virtual tours, excellent. Everything is good. And I think it's going to be it's, as I said, the key word here is balance. Earlier, electronic medium was not as much preferred, but I think people have got a taste of it. So people are going to stick to that. Having said that, there is a human to human, face to face sort of a interaction which will never go out of fashion because that's a human psyche and that's a human nature.
Man is a social animal. At the bottom of it all, at the end of it all, man is a social animal.
Absolutely.
Cannot stop being social.
And just to
add what Aditya was asking, whether
even the
primary will take over on
to travel on their own vehicle to the office, they will not use public transport just because of a fear in their mind of corona. So that was, plus the corona started from China. We should see that when China reopened, you see the crowd they witnessed on the tourism places. All the tourist sites were full. Even a brand like Hermes, they recorded the highest sale of 20 crore in a single day. So a man is a social animal, and they're gonna spend. They're gonna come
all the nightlife, everything has been open in China.
Exactly.
I would like to put a point for what Aditya was asking, to be precise. The question was that whether primary will take over secondary in terms of pricing. So, from our hypothesis and from our data, primary will take over secondary because the prices, developers are already working on single digit margins. So there are likely more chances to have a better prices in primary market rather than secondary. Because when someone is trying to sell his secondary property or in secondary market, he is adding up the kind of interest he has paid to the bank. So his expectation in terms of pricing will be far more ahead as compared to primary. So the primary will have a spillover compared to a secondary market. People will end up buying in primary market.
Now there's one, I'll take one more viewer question. This is Shivam writing for Abhi Batra. Shivam is saying, Abhi, you look quite young. How difficult is selling right now and how can technology help selling?
Thanks, Shivam, for the compliment.
Complimented.
So Shivam, selling is, never a difficulty, whether it is good times or bad times. To be honest, when market is booming and going up, that time people are buying, anticipating, very good returns in the times to come. When markets are, in a tough position, then people are investing, looking at some price corrections or some distressed deals that they might be able to take an advantage of, given that they have surplus capital at hand. So selling's not been as tough as we initially thought. We were also somewhat in the same boat as everyone, a bit worried because we did not have any experience how to handle a situation like this and what to expect from the future. But God's been kind, and I think it's not been as tough as we thought that it would be. There are certain basic necessities which people will always have, and real estate is one of them that people would need, whether in terms of office space or house or for setting up a factory, for an example. So it's not tough. One thing would go down, the other thing would go up. Maybe selling would go down, rentals would go up, or vice versa. So something or the other would keep on going on to keep the ball rolling.
Khair, there's a question for you from Kirti Negi, who is asking, what is better, commercial or residential investments? Is income a determining factor? Give an honest option. Don't say commercial outrightly.
No, but I believe in commercial. I've never been into residential. Personally, I always believe that commercial. But then in India, we've realized that people who usually invest in commercial are already have invested in residential. So it's never the first choice. It's always been a second choice of investment, commercial.
I have
just to add a little bit.
So if you permit me, I would like to ask a question on behalf of all my users that are available on my platform. That question is to Khair and Salil. That how you guys are gonna manage assured rental in terms of commercial properties?
See, Amrinder, we have gone for restructuring. Okay, I'll be very candid with you. What we have done at with our investors, we've reached out to our investors and we have gone for restructuring. What we have done is that whatever is due from us to them and whatever is payable from them in future, we've adjusted that. And after the adjustment, there is Feb 21 onwards, we would start paying them 50% of the returns, post whatever is the balance from Feb 21 till depending upon which tower they have invested in. If they're invested in tower A or tower B, depending upon the timeline, so we would give them 50% of the returns starting from Feb 21 till the period of the tower would be made ready. Say for example, we have a signature tower, which the timeline is 3 years. So for 3 years, we would pay them 50% and then for 1 year, we would pay them 50%. And then the year second onwards, we would pay them 100%. But it is against the payables that they have to make. So we're making an adjustment. So we're restructuring. We had a choice of going for a force majeure, but we have not gone for that. What we're doing is we're doing adjustments. We're restructuring. And we have reached out to our investors and we're taking consents from them. We're discussing those restructuring, and post the consent, we are actually staggering this.
Salil, your answer to acceptance rate? Salil, your answer to this?
Right now, we've reached out to, we're doing it in phases. We've reached out to almost 3,500 investors, and we've just started this exercise. But then we've had, I can say we have had somewhere around 70 to 80% of acceptance. But we're still in the process of taking the complete consent. Because ours is not that we are not wavering off. We're not saying we're not going to pay you. We are making an adjustment. And we're starting because we don't know how long the lockdown is going to be staying. We don't have the clarity on that. So we're saying that, look, we also need time to stabilize ourselves. So Feb 21 onwards, we'll start the adjustment payments till the time we are able to give you the hand over the property to you or the tower to you.
Salil, what is
and we've taken the time, and we've taken the time which we have given in RERA. So we're actually aligning all of that. And it's a very transparent one. So whatever you have paid, whatever we have to pay you by way of assured return, and whatever is payable by the investor to us in future, we're making an adjustment. And post Feb 21 onwards, we would be more in a better stabilized manner. We would be able to pay the assured return to them. But we're starting first year because we need stabilization. We do not have clarity. So first year is going to be from Feb 21 to Feb 22. It is going to be 50% of that, and then Feb 22 onwards, till the time we deliver and give you hand over you the tower, we would pay you 100%. So that's how we have staggered. So it's a restructuring we are doing.
That will be adjusted in your final demand.
Shukla ji, in
I'm
our
sorry?
case, our payment plan was different. We were to pay post possession only. So whatever scheme we had floated in our phase 2, phase 1, it was like till possession plus some years. In phase 2, we had shown only post possession will be offering certain returns only. So that stage has yet to come. So of course we have written to the customer now. Force majeure has come and impact is still yet to be accessed fully. So we have yet to take the decision how to proceed further. So people are at the moment we are not giving till possession. We were not supposed to offer any rent.
But Salil, you feel you'll be able to fulfill your commitments?
See, we have one of the best image so far carrying with God grace. So let's hope for very good. Like CARE has come with some formula, we have to also see what kind of formula we can adopt.
So Palash, both the developers on the platform with us are very optimistic, be it CARE or Salil.
As it is, even if I was not, I would have ever always an optimist.
Aditya has something more to ask. Aditya.
Yeah. Recently, a report published that retailers, mainly restaurants, will prefer moving to high streets rather than the malls. If we consider this report to be true, and if such a big number will move out of malls, then what will be the future of malls? As a big chunk of the malls are always under the control of restaurants only. Also, will we see more high streets due to this thing? And also, will the under construction commercials may also opt for changes to accommodate high streets in their buildings?
See, understanding, can I answer this question?
Yeah, Ajay, please.
So understanding the aesthetics of any mall, where you see how a mall fitment happens, the efficiencies are very poor when you have to apply a social distancing and people have to engage and, have fine dining or a leisure time in sitting in a restaurant. So optimizing that rental with that, maintaining that pocket friendly tariff and also managing the, the ongoing change in the hands of the tables and movements. And so malls looks like a real bleeding business right now for restaurant till the time it doesn't has a dark kitchen, till the time it doesn't has a equally balanced takeaways, till the time it doesn't has a blend of serving liquor also together, or some more frills which can add to its overall top line, and that can only make sense to him for the time being. And this is a little short term right now. But high street, which is more on a usable area, which is spread equally, has a easy accessibility to any reach or this. I think that's we are seeing a equally good demand, especially from Gurgaon and also in some locations of Gurgaon, Noida, where restaurant owners have already started reaching us and asking for space, and that's the positive sign behind it.
Amrendra, there is a question for you from Sandeep Singh from Mumbai. He's asking tier 2 or tier 1, where can one sell more as an online or brokerage portal?
So tier 1 will definitely attract because there are more job opportunities that exist in tier 1. If you have a good holding appetite in terms of investment, you should definitely explore tier 2 and tier 3. Tier 1 are typically from a return perspective in terms of rentals. Tier 2 are typically from an asset and wealth creation perspective as of now.
Salil, one more question to you. How will real estate sales will behave in the near future? We are hearing about the great downturn, though you and CARE don't agree to that. But still, there's a perception that real estate is headed for a great downturn. Now, what's the future?
I like to repeat the last sentence in the last conversation, that basic fundamental of the human being is roti, kapda and makan. So of course, roti is the one, then the kapra is second, and the tertiary at level is your real estate. So let's decide even any human, he has a basic requirement. One has to have live in a good housing. He has to have a good office complex, and there has to be a shopping complex or a different format, maybe high street retail. So this is an absolute very temporary phenomena at the moment. See, over a period, mankind has learned to live with a different kind of thing and downturns, especially after 2008 recession. People know how to overcome. Government has offered so many schemes. Yesterday, the different scheme were offered to medium and small scale industries. People know how to overcome this recession also. You have to make liquidity available for the non-essentials, and people will overcome very soon. So my thing is, like our friend Amit said or Ajay said, there will be lot many schemes about Godrej and various other developers. 1090 was very popular. And like your Bullman, I also learned as able to sell lot many sales during lockdown period. So now it's not only that, we are also receiving whatever leftover material is there, lot many inquiries every day how to proceed further. And another thing, once this lockdown is over and your corona crisis, with the new norms, there will be more requirement of office spaces. There will be more requirement of good housing. People are now preferring, like Amit says, Amit will be feeling people are requirement of more villas are increasing now. People are preferring more open houses, more villa, well-structured homes, well-structured office, like what do you call it, well offices. Wellness is a new factor which is coming up in a, Supriya will endorse my thing. Wellness is a new term in corporate leasing is coming up. People are looking at very nice offices, structured offices. So the future of real estate, like I says, roti kapra makan are the essentials, will continue to shine. It may be a 3-4 months phenomena when, because after stabilizing roti and kapra, people will move towards makan things.
So,
So,
Salil, I would like to
Yes.
add to your point.
Yeah.
With OLX, we are changing roti kapda makan to Bangla Gadi and Saman now.
And
Roti kapda
May I
makan
add
was
to what
primary.
Khalil has said? You know, see, I'll tell you how I foresee, and it's something that we actually have been discussing in various forums also. Post-COVID is definitely a period of a lot of innovation. And this adversity has brought in a lot of other opportunities also. But this is how we did business is not going to be the same post-COVID, but it's going to bring in a lot of innovation. Developers are already thinking of very innovative ways. Occupiers are looking at revamping, restructuring, coming up with innovative ways of occupancy. There is going to change is something which is going to be constant and is going to be happening, but it is going to be happening in a much more consistent and a positive way. And we would see that for the occupiers, there's going to be change in the way they are designing their offices. Their space is going to change, their density is going to change, their processes are going to be changing. So there is going to be a mix of that from the occupier perspective. From an investor perspective, there are going to be both a combination of a very wide and varied portfolio is going to be managed. They're not going to be putting all their eggs in one basket. If they have the capacity, they might invest in real estate, they might invest, they might invest in office, they might invest in residential, they might invest in co-working, they might. So they're also going to have a very varied portfolio. When it comes to a developer, for him, it is very, very essential. While he has to manage the survival, sustainability is going to be, in the short term, is going to be a very, very essential aspect for it. But at the same time, they are going to be looking at very varied cost models. For the occupiers, for the investors, they're going to look at that. Their design is also going to be factoring all of that. Their processes are also going to be looking into all of these aspects. So we are actually heading for a very, very changed times. You know, with a lot of learnings from COVID, pre and during COVID, And post-COVID is going to be a combination of that, whether it's going to be for short term or whether it's going to be for a long term. But definitely very innovative times are going to be ahead. I mean, we can actually be assured of that.
Yeah.
We are running short of time. I'll take two last questions. One for Supriya. Supriya, we have discussed everything, residential, office spaces. What about retail? Retail story looks very bad, very gloomy. Where do you say, in terms of retail mall developers, what's going to be the scene now?
So, Palash, I think I did cover this when I was speaking about the human psyche, and I think retail is here to stay. Again, and picking up a little bit of optimism from the other panelists here, I must say that this downturn is a short to medium term scenario. People by nature, and especially the economy that we are in today, it is a buying economy. People want to go and buy things, and they want to explore new things which are coming in the market. Once the situation settles down, retail is again going to pick up. However, the cycle of retail revival probably is going to be a 18 to 24 month cycle. Vis-a-vis the commercial real estate revival may happen much sooner, which will be maybe between 6 to 12 months. Once the commercial real estate, and let's not forget that commercial real estate and retail are actually indicators of how the economy is doing. So once people are back to groove, back to their jobs, that situation kind of takes 6 to 12 months to settle down. Then we have the retail coming up, because people are again going to go back to, F&B, and, streets are going to be buzzing, whether it's high street or malls. It's going to be a mix of both. Malls are here to stay. I mean, if we look at NCR, I mean, we can name probably a handful of good malls which are there in NCR, I mean, specific to NCR market. I think malls are here to stay. Obviously, the brand mix that you do in a mall, as Ajay also covered this in the initial part of the discussion, is extremely important. What kind of brand mix do you have? Maybe the F&B, I agree. I tend to agree that the F&B may now kind of switch to a lot more towards the high street than the malls. But the traditional vanilla options which are always there in malls are here to stay. People like a environment which is an air-conditioned environment ecosystem where they can go to one place and kind of get all their shopping done at one go. So the revival is going to happen. Yes, retail will take a lot more time as compared to the office real estate, or even for that matter, residential.
It will also depend upon by when do we get a vaccine or a medicine, because lots of apparel brands are there, and it depends when do we get a vaccine, because trial rooms are going to be a dreaded thing now. You go and buy apparel offline only because you can do a trial. Now, one last question from senior journalist Vivek Shukla. He is asking to all consultants: will rental market crash in Delhi NCR?
I think I'll take that. So it really depends. Holistically, my answer is no. The rentals are not going to crash if I take a very comprehensive view. However, in pockets, so if you look at NCR, it's a very interesting market because the CBD markets have less than 2% vacancy, and the SBD markets, or the peripheral business districts, combined to a vacancy of about 25%. So what may happen is that the developers who are towards the secondary hubs or the peripheral hubs of a particular market, let's say Noida extension or Golf Course Road extension for that matter, or even towards Southern Periphery Road, there may be a little more softening of the rentals, because we had witnessed over the last 2 years or so, even the SBD rentals had kind of picked up, taking up the steam from the CBD markets. So what we believe, there's going to be a softening of rentals. I won't say crash, definitely, because if we look at the CBD markets of NCR, their vacancy level is less than 2%. Even if we have couple of chunks of corporates moving from the CBD to the other markets, still the vacancy may go up to, at a worst come scenario, of about 10%, not more than that. So we don't see the rentals completely crashing. It's going to be a mix. It's going to be a mixed bag of the SBD markets looking at a little bit of a softer rents. But I think the CBD rentals are going to be more or less stable. Yes, the kind of increase that we were witnessing in those markets of 130, 140 kind of rentals, they may not pick up to that level of percentage as they were witnessing over the last 2 years. There may be a little bit of stabilization. So the word I will use is softening and stabilization rather than crash.
Kapil, you agree to that?
Yeah, definitely. There will be much more softening of the rentals rather than crashing. I totally agree with Supriya.
Kailash, if you see what Supriya has said, there is an interesting relationship. Like you say, the fixed deposit at the SBI is currently at a 5.75%. So you cannot expect retail to give
Reduced
12%
further.
return. Retail will not give you 12% return. It will come down to say 8, 9, 10% something. This is a interesting phenomena which I have watched for many years. When money like FD rate is so low, how can you expect retail to perform very well?
Ajay, your answer to that?
Yeah, I think let me bring it more Indianized answer to this on NCR specifically. So if I say Khan Market, Ashok Vihar, Southex, or Lajpat Nagar will always remain, it will continue the way it has been a high street market and is giving a phenomenal, always over 99% occupation occupied. Khan Market, a 900 to 1200 rupees rental will definitely take a dip. And that's all, there'll be no takers at these rentals. Once it gets become, it's more a branding space rather than a consumer space. For example, another corridor of Delhi, let's go to Saroi Nagar. These are all consumer-driven products, markets, and there's always a footfall, so it doesn't need a rental correction. So retailers doesn't need that benchmarking. Sector 18 of Noida, for example, is a very, very high regularized way of retail shopping. So rentals, I don't see a much correction beyond 5 to 10% even in these markets. Yes, the moment you get into a golf course extension or an SPR or a Greater Noida locations, there it is a very difficult. If a tenant moves out today, it is very difficult to get a new tenant. So hold your tenant properly. Don't give him too much of high expectations and ease out his rental escalation. Give him discounts on wherever applicable. I think that's the current.
Abhi, you would like to add to that?
Yes, luxury is something, or high end or high rentals is something which would probably take the most hit, I would say. Something which is already, somewhere in the middle and in the hands of the common, or in the reach of the common man, should not get affected as much. You will definitely see a movement of tenants from, restructuring of tenants from one property to the other. But we have to also accept the fact that when a tenant would probably move from a tier A sort of a property or a location to a tier B, there will also be somebody who will be moving from a tier B sort of a property to a tier C. So you will see a lot of people going back and forth, between these locations. But to be honest, except for the high tier A, buildings or locations, which I feel would probably take a hit, because community or people going out into the open spaces is not something that would probably be something that one would be looking out for, would probably take a hit. So something that Ajay ji said, that the location like Khan Market, which is already very overpriced, and the main focus over there is retail, food, and things like that, which do not see something a very promising future in the very short term, will probably take a hit. But CBD areas or other areas would probably not see a major hit in that.
Amit, lastly,
Abhi, I actually do not agree with you that the luxury category is going to take a dip. I think those niches would stay. It is probably the higher middle which is probably going to take a hit, but not the niche luxury.
Lastly, before I wind up,
I have my doubts about it. I differ there in what you're saying.
I mean, it's all speculation at the end
speculation,
of the day.
Exactly, but
yes,
at least
so that's something the time will tell. A better and a clearer
no,
story.
because I'll tell you also from where this speculation is also coming, because during this period of lockdown, we've actually seen a rise of HNI tickets sale. That's where my apprehension is coming from, that it is not the HNIs or the luxury, the super luxury, which is going to, because those are niches, and those niches would always have their own limited market which they have. But it is probably it's also not the mass one, but it is the higher, between the luxury and the mass one, that category probably would be the one which would see some kind of a change.
Amit,
So how I look at it is that, even these HNIs, the bigger you are, the more expenses you have, the more difficult it is for you to sustain the large empire that you've created over the years. So I feel that, this lockdown, while it has impacted pretty much all of us, the bigger we are, the more it has impacted us. So, it may be a niche market, true, but I believe that in the short term, people would be more going towards getting their things in order rather than looking
I'll
at
give you an
these.
example. I'll give you an example, Abhi. If you look at the Reliance brands, okay,
Yeah.
the niche brands, they've not gone for restructuring. But if you look at their mid-category brands, they have gone for restructuring. We've seen very recently they're canceling out on Nexus Malls, just because Nexus Malls did not agree to that. But when it came to their luxury brands, they've not gone for restructuring.
okay.
That's also something to really take care, to observe here.
Before I end, Amit, we have spoken enough about the commercial rentals. How do you see residential rentals going forward?
Residential rentals. See, it all depends. Basically, people want to buy their own property, but like Mr. Aditya said, there are lots of people getting job cuts. So they're gonna be forced to live on rentals only. They can't buy their own properties. But there will be a shift. But last, I would like to say, just add on one thing. Like, we are a young age nation. We are having a very good gross domestic consumption. So we're gonna bounce back very fast. We expect that V-curve recovery will be there of the Indian economy, and things will be back on normal. And if we see the real estate in China after lockdown, it jumped up, and we expect same out here. So the rentals and everything gonna be like, there will be people who will be living on rentals because they have job cuts. They will be forced to live on rentals. Those people who are having extra money, like government employees, like you can see now, every second message on your WhatsApp is your friend has started a sanitizer business, making all those equipments, they are marketing, they are trading. So people have shifted themselves. They have seen this lockdown and they have shifted themselves to other businesses. So I think we'll recover very fast. And yes, we are expecting a good real estate boom after this COVID-19.
So Palash, I don't think the rental will go down, especially in the residential sector, because if you'll just look at it from an office rejig perspective, which all the developers and the property consultants are telling, I mean, the rentals are directly proportional to the kind of office rejigs are happening. So sooner or later, the office locations will get changed for majority of the corporates. That will push to have a more rental demand in the market going forward in next short to medium term, 6 to 12 months.
Yeah. Thanks, Amarendra. I'll wind up with that. We are already overshooting our time. Thank you all for being with us. Realty Web Series will be back again next week.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for having us.
Palash. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Palash.
Have a good
Great
day.
to have all of you panelists. Good to reach out to everyone.
Yeah, same
Good to
here.
connect with
Pleasure
everyone
meeting
here.
everybody. Pleasure.
I'm seeing
Thank
Ajay
you.
after a long time, after
Same here,
ages.
Khair.